We're adding freeform letters and shapes onto your knitting or crochet projects today on GoodKnit Kisses. Making surface crochet on top of knitting or crochet projects is so fun, and you can really spice up your project, whether it's plain or has crazy colors on it. You can add letters, you can add shapes and swirls, all kinds of things. Today I'm going to make a heart to show you how to do some curving features of it, and then I'll probably do a letter or two that are straight just to show you the difference. If you need a surface crochet tutorial, you can use it on knitting or crochet, and you see this line way over on the side over here, right here, there is a tutorial on how to do this line. Now, this particular project is called the Thank You Note Blanket. It is crochet. I will be making a needle and a loom knit version of this, but if you want to get that pattern, go click down in the link below for that and all the other tutorials that go along with it. And we're going to start right in here. I'm going to give you some tips first, so stay tuned and I'll tell you about your supplies. All right, so for supplies, you're going to need your yarn for your project, and of course your project, knitting or crochet. The project yarn I used was a bulky 5-weight yarn, and I've got one object I'm going to do in a heart that I'll show you in a bulky 5-weight, and then I've also got one in a medium 4-weight, which is what these letters are for. So whatever is of the same yarn value or maybe a little bit lighter is fine, plus the hook that's appropriate for that yarn to go along with it. And then you're also going to need a tapestry needle and scissors, and you'll also need a pencil and a pen. The pencil is for drawing on your graph paper, so you're going to need graph paper as well, and we'll get into that in just a moment. And then the pen, you could do colored pens to just kind of color it in once you figure out what you want to do in pencil first. Okay, so we're going to dive in here in just a moment. So for the graph paper, the way that we apply that is we use 1 stitch per square. Now, if you have a much bigger project than this, that you have way too many stitches for the squares on your paper, you could change it and make a little key onto the side and say that 2 stitches is equal to 1 square, whatever you need to do. So I just plan out and I count how many stitches wide my project is, and then I mark that out, and then I mark out how high I want to make it. In this case, I'm doing these lines, and there's every 7 white lines, there's a teal line. This translated it onto my graph paper, and then I just drew and erased letters until I was comfortable with what I had. And if for more details on how I did those letters, down in the link below, we talk about sizing and spacing, so I'm not going to do too much of that in this video here, but you can tell where those placements are on this paper here. I'm going to do this heart right here, and I want to show you that in all of these letters, sometimes I'm not using one little piece of yarn the whole way around. I might do 2 pieces of yarn. So in this this shape here, I'm going to start at this tip and then work my way here and then stop and then work my way on the opposite side and do it. Some of these other letters, say the T, I did the vertical part first and then the horizontal part after. The S, absolutely, I did it in one piece. The E, I did in one piece. The B, I had to do in a couple of different pieces. The only drawback is there's a lot of tails. The good part is they weave in really nice, and you really can't see the back of it from the front anyway. You can put a backer on the back of your blanket or project or felt or something, but I don't really think it's necessary for this. So let's jump in, and we're going to make this shape right here. We're going to make a heart. Now what I did is I counted over how many stitches I wanted to start it, and I put a little stitch marker on here, which of course you can do, or a scrap piece of yarn. And then I'm going to go ahead and just make a slip knot, and then we're going to put all of our yarn in the back, and we're going to be holding it from the back. And I've got a really good video, like I mentioned earlier, with the slip stitch crochet of going, or surface crochet, making a vertical line, so you can really see a different perspective of that. But I'm going to hold this in the back and kind of bring my work forward and get this slip knot back here. Take off my stitch marker and put my hook down at the very bottom here. And then I'm going to put the slip knot on here and tighten it up. Okay. The only thing that kind of is frustrating to me really is that I accidentally sometimes grab this extra long tail here. So you just have to make sure you're grabbing the working yarn. This can be a whole ball of yarn, or it can just be a little piece of scrap. So just going to grab this one, and we're going to pull it on through. Now it's that first hole. Okay. And then I'm just going to go around this stitch here and lock it in. I'm going to yarn over in the back and pull through that net stitch up and lock it in just by slipping that stitch. When I start the second time around, I'll go through that same hole again. So now what I'm going to do is take my graph paper and I'm going to hold it to the side and kind of look at it. And I'm going up all the way over 1, 2, 3, 4 at the max, 4 stitches wide, and I'm going to go up 4 stitches where this part starts. So what I could do is put a stitch marker right here. So it's kind of a 4 by 4. So we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see I'm kind of zigzagging it. It's because it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 this way. So it sort of moves back and forth a little bit. So I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up here. So this is the point that I need to stop. Actually, I'm going to move it over so I can get right in there. So it's going to go from here to here. Okay. So we're just going to kind of try and go in a line. So I'm just going to jog up and over to the next spot that I think that will make that line. I'm going to yarn over in the back and pull through that next spot. Let's see. Pulling through and then slip that stitch, the back loop over the front. Okay. And now we need to do that again, going in a line, yarning over in the back, pull it through, and then slipping that stitch. Okay, keep going in a line, yarning over and pulling through, and try not to pull this too tight or it'll squish your design down a little bit. And you can jump bigger spans, but I like to do small ones and keep the stitches relatively small, and I can do a lot more with that. I have the ability to turn a little bit easier and make a tighter turn. Okay, so I'm right up where this needs to be. Okay, and now I want to start going up and over. So I'm going to look at my chart again, and I've gotten to here, and then we're going to go up 1 stitch, and then we're going to zigzag over 2 and up 1. So we're going to go up 1 stitch, pull through, okay, it's got kind of a little half stitch, so I'm going to just do a stitch there. Okay, and then we're going to go over 2, 1, 2, and up 1. So it's really going to be this one right here, like that. Okay. And I'm going to go one more right there. There's kind of like this in-between part here. So kind of started making that curve. So I've done, yeah, this part, and then I need to go 1 over to do this part. So I've already done this. So now we're going to go straight just for 1 stitch. Okay. And then now we want to go down, kind of angle down 2. So the opposite of what I did over here. So I'm going to go over 2 and down 1. So I'm going to go down here and down again. Okay, so that's over 1, 2, and it's kind of down 1 row And then I'm going to make the part that dips, does the center part, which is here. So it's, make sure it's lined up. So this is lined up straight with this one, and I can lay it flat just to make sure. So I've got that part, and then I can continue going over or start a new one. So if I want to stop here, then I can go ahead and pull through my stitch. Okay, so I have this long piece here, and then I just want to take that, go through that hole that I just made, and pull through that stitch, the tail. Okay, and so now that I've got that part done, I can just make another one to match. So do the same thing as I did before, except now I kind of know where I'm going based on this and not just the grid. So stick my tool right into where that one was, and get my slip knot going. Pull through. And I'm going to go like I did the last one. I'm going to kind of lock it in on that stitch right above. Oops. This is the part where it pulls those tails in. Okay, slip it. All right. And then now I want to start going the opposite direction like the other one did. So I'm going to go over one, yarning over, pulling through that stitch, and then going up and over. So it starts mirroring just as before. So I'm going to continue to this one, and then I'll meet you back up when I get to this point so you can see it, and then we'll move on to another letter. All right, see you in a moment. Okay, so I've done most of my heart, and then I need one more to go over and connect these two. And you can see this was the last chain that you see, and this is kind of the tail peeking through. So what I want to do is go over here, and I want to go through this other chain because I really want to draw those in and connect them together. So let me go through this one, and then I'm going to go find the middle of that other. Just one moment. Okay. So we're finding the middle. I'm just going to use my hook to help me get the middle of that one. Okay, I've got that, and now I'm going to go where that stitch actually goes. Yarn over in the back. Bring it forward. And then go through both of those stitches there. Okay, and now I can finish it off by just cutting it and then pulling the tail back through. And where you pull your tail through sometimes can help finish off this, or it'll make it look messy. So I want this stitch to kind of look like it's drawing inward a little bit. So I'm going to pull my tail downward to the bottom part of the stitch rather than the top. So I'm just going to take it, yarn over, and pull it through that way. And there you have a nice little heart. So you could fill it in with all those colors. You can redo it if you don't like it, even maybe outline it one more time. There's a variety of things obviously you can do. And then let's jump over and make one of these letters here. So I've gone ahead and done one letter for the W here. I'm writing the word we. I'm going to show you how to do the E, which is more of a curving line and then a straight. The W, the way I did that, is a straight line, so you know how to do that. Just go start here, go up, finish it, and then over here, start here, go up, and finish it. And then the way I did this one is I started here, went up, and then I didn't actually change yarn. I just turned way down here. And then to finish it off, I actually end up using my tapestry needle and just taking that tail and pulling it straight down with my tapestry needle there. So that was pretty straightforward. But here we've got a little bit of a curving line. So I'm just going to show you how to do the E really fast, and you should be able to get through other curving lines just knowing how to do this E. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm not going to talk through it as much, but you'll see that I'm going to go up a little bit, going to go down a few, and then up, and then over and curve, and then a straight away. Okay, it covers a 3 by 4. Okay. Okay, I've come to the end of my E, and I had this little gap here, and I can go straight up next to it, or I can try and go over it and it'll kind of cross over. If I go next to it, it may cut short a little bit, but I'll see if I can go in there and see what it looks like. Most of this is played by eye, so just kind of have to judge for yourself what it looks like, if you like it or not. And so this one's going to end about here. And if I really want to make sure and there's some good overlap, I'll go into this next little stitch here, which I'm going to, and then just pull through and cut it off. And then here's how I use the tapestry needle to tuck that back down. Pull the extra out, put in your tapestry needle, and then go right down into that stitch. And on the back you can see my tails. And just a quick way to do the tails is use a tapestry needle. If it's got a bent end like this one's kind of bent, it's easy to just go around, do a little whip stitch around the stitches, pull through, and split the one at the end, and then come back the opposite direction, splitting a few of the yarns as you come up, pull through, and snip it off. Once you get them stitched in like that, the back will look something like this. See, it just looks like the word in reverse. You might have a few tails that you'll still have to trim, but that's what it looks like. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and it helps you make letters and shapes on yours. Be sure and comment down below and tell me what you used it on for your project. Thanks for joining us today, where we help you stitch your love and love your stitches. See you again soon.